Hi, this is Joel Johnson with Johnson Brunetti. I'm excited to have you join me today. We're going to do a mini seminar here on kind of going back to the basics of financial planning, but also I want to expose some of the things that go on out there in the world of people giving financial advice, maybe even the world of stockbrokers and so on, that I think takes clients astray, that I think puts the focus on the wrong thing. So we're going to have a great short time here today. I want to give you some basic concepts. If you like what you hear, we'll have links up. Click on those links and you can request a 15-minute free phone consultation just to get a second opinion. I like to tell people you should get a second opinion from somebody other than the person that gave you the first opinion, because when I'm done here, you're going to find out that maybe you're thinking about things the wrong way, and maybe even the people that you're listening to for advice may be approaching things the wrong way. Doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means that I believe we at Johnson Brunetti and a few others in our business, a few other advisors, have a different approach than what you're used to. And I think if you take this approach, it'll reduce the anxiety that's going on right now. So let's go back to the basics, back to the fundamentals on why you invest in the first place and what you're investing for. I heard a great line when I started in this business. I had an old gentleman that was 40 years in the investment advice business, and he said, Joel, you need to ask your clients this important question: who's the money for? He said, once you find out who the money is for, then you can give great advice. Let me give you an example of that. My wife Wendy and I have a certain amount of money saved for retirement. I don't think I'll ever retire. I love what I'm doing, but we save for retirement anyway. We know that that amount of money will take us through the rest of our lives. Then we have additional money that we hopefully will pass on to our kids or grandkids. See, that money's not for us. That money's for somebody else. So we have money that's for us, money that's for somebody else. When you're thinking about your different accounts or different investments and so on, think about who the money's for. So just a little tip there. Anyway, let's get started with our workshop, because again, I want to reduce your anxiety based on all the things that are going on out there. So here are the two questions that every one of our clients wants answered, okay? And typically before they met us, they were asking these questions and they weren't getting sufficient answers. You know, another thing I want to mention just before we get to that is a lot of times in Wall Street there's all this jargon, you know, and stockbrokers, because I started out as a stockbroker, are taught by their managers, by their training programs, oh, just explain things to clients in a certain way and they'll feel better. But then the way we're taught as young stockbrokers to explain things to a client, it's all this investment jargon. People are talking about negative correlation, standard deviation, beta, alpha, all kinds of things like that. And it doesn't make our typical client, which is probably just like you, feel any better. So one of the things we want to do today is keep it simple, go back to the fundamentals, but this might be much more in-depth from a quality standpoint than what we're used to. So let's get started. There are two questions that most clients want answered. Excuse me. One is, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be okay in retirement? And that can mean everything from, is my money going to last as long as I will? Or if you have more money, you might just say, am I going to be able to maintain my standard of living? So first question people want to know when they talk to us is, am I going to be okay? And by the way, during this time, our clients have come in and they said, Joel, I know we put together a financial plan. I know we're on track, but things have changed. Are we going to be okay? And if they followed our advice, by the way, yes, they are going to be okay, even though the market's down 30%. We'll get to that in a minute. Next question somebody wants to know is, okay, if I know I'm not going to run out of money, excuse me, that's based on certain assumptions. If I know I'm not going to run out of money, that's based on certain assumptions. And so I want to know what rate of return I need on my money to be okay. You see, it's two basic questions. Am I going to be okay? And what rate of return do I need on my money to be okay? You've got to answer these two questions. So let's say I'm working with a couple and we find out that based on their income need, let's say it's $10,000 a month they want, we find out that they are going to be okay. They will not run out of money. But see, behind that there's an assumption. What rate of return do they need? Another example. Let's say I have two couples. We find out that one couple is going to be okay if they can get a 4% rate of return. That's a pretty low rate of return. You can do that fairly consistently without a lot of risk. Okay? Historically speaking, you can get a long-term 4% rate of return off of a portfolio without a lot of risk, and it's unlikely you'll ever run out of money. What if I have a second couple and we do the math and we say, well, they will be okay if they get an 8% rate of return. They might not be okay. In fact, at that point, we're going to start having a conversation with that client and say, you know what, your income needs are a little too aggressive. Because if you take the risk and you need an 8% rate of return, you may be able to get it. But when you're taking money off of a portfolio, folks, remember what happens. The dollar cost averaging that some of you have heard of works against you. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're taking $10,000 out a month and the market's up here. You have to sell a certain amount of shares to get that $10,000, correct? Market drops 30%, you have to sell more shares. See, so when you're taking money out of a portfolio, the ups and downs work against you, and we can show that to you. In retirement, it's all about getting a smooth rate of return, not necessarily getting the highest rate of return. I know it sounds weird, but that's one of the things I told you, that this is going to be a little bit different. So, we've talked about answering the question, are you going to be okay, and what rate of return do I need? Then a financial plan should get built. Now, let's step back for a minute and talk about what many financial advisors do. Many financial advisors, you go into their office, they want to talk about your investments. They want to look at your statements. They want to say, well, we're doing okay here, but we're not doing okay there if you're their existing client. If you're not their client, they're going to poke holes in your investment program. And that's wrong. That's backwards. That's like you walking into a doctor's office and without them doing any investigation, just starting to write your prescription because, hey, Questor works. Well, it might not be the right thing for you. So let's keep the focus in the right spot. The investment discussion should never take place before a financial plan is built. And guess what the first two things that happen in that financial plan are? Are you going to be okay? And what rate of return do you need? Once we build the plan, the investments serve the plan, right? The plan isn't built on the investments. The plan is built and the investments are the tools that serve the plan. I'll give you another example. We had our bathrooms remodeled last year. We had a design. Wendy was mostly part of that. She showed me the drawings. She showed me the materials that were going to go in. And once all those decisions were made, the contractor came out. We didn't care what kind of hammer the contractor used. We didn't care what brand of ladder he was using. We just wanted, based on the plan, the program to be put in place. Your advisor, talking about investments before you use the foundation of that plan, is like you worrying about your contractor and what brand of hammer that they're using. It's, again, one of the problems in our business. So we build the plan, that's the foundation. Then we say what tools are best put in place to meet that plan. So we've got here our little pyramid, and our pyramid is, what are we doing for risk protection? What are we doing for income? And what are we doing for investments? And sometimes these blend together. But let's talk just for a moment about risk protection. As a retiree, the two major risks you face are lawsuits. So let's say you loan a grandchild a car, they get in an accident, and all of a sudden you get sued. That's exposure on your part. Okay? Asset protection. Maybe you were an attorney or a doctor or a small business owner, or you own a building. There's all kinds of liability tied there. So we need to have insurance, and almost everybody, I believe, should have a big umbrella insurance policy. I have a $5 million umbrella insurance policy so that if my homeowners or my automobile insurance or our liability insurance here at our firm don't cover it, I'm protected. So that's what we mean by protection. Now the second big thing with protection is long-term care. What if there's an extended stay in a long-term care facility or somebody needs highly skilled care in their home? We've got to protect that. Sometimes that means structuring legal entities to protect assets. Other times it just means plain old simple, just buy some insurance. And so we've got to talk about protection, because without protection being the foundation, none of this matters. If you want $10,000 a month of income and you're spending $20,000 a month to be in a nursing home up here in the Northeast, that kind of blows apart anything that's happening up there. So we've got to make sure we address those things first. Second, we've already talked about it, income. Am I going to have enough income to last for the rest of my life? And again, we've got to get a good handle on what that income looks like, and we've got to give you raises. You might need raises of 3%. You might need a 3% raise every single year to keep up with inflation. How are you going to do that? That's got to be part of the income plan. And then the investments are the top of that pyramid. And when it comes to investments, we like to explain investments and tell people they need 3 different types of investments, 3 different goals, 3 different types of investments. The mix is different with everybody. Okay, my dad's mix might be totally different than yours, but there's 3 different types, again, to serve the plan. There's what we call safe investments, investments that cannot go down. In fact, technically, some of them aren't even investments. Banks, government bonds, insurance companies, things that if we hold them to maturity, they cannot go down. Certain insurance products, like what are called guaranteed investment contracts. So if we hold those things to maturity, they don't go down. They've got a guarantee behind them. Everybody should have some of their money safe. My dad likes safety. I mentioned him earlier. 80% of his savings are in things that cannot go down. He gets a reasonable rate of return, but they cannot go down. And then some of his money is in Apple stock. He loves Apple. He's owned it forever. He's got a great rate of return on that. So that's my dad. Might not be you. Then we should have some investments that, regardless of the stock market performance, which we're going to get to in the red, those investments will throw off income that we can choose to use or we can reinvest. So far we have safety, we have income, or steady income we like to call it, and then of course the growth, that long-term investment money, which if you've got this set up right, you don't really care right now how the market is doing. Okay? I remember hearing a quote, don't know if this was accurate or not, but somebody was talking about Warren Buffett. They were saying Warren Buffett's portfolio has gone down over 50% 7 times in his lifetime. 7 times. Maybe now, with what's going on, it'll be 8. Who knows? But Warren Buffett has not sold. He sells stocks from time to time, but he typically does not sell them. I'm not aware of any time he's sold them based on up and down volatility. In fact, in times like this, he's looking to buy. Okay? Different philosophy. But think about it. The businesses that he runs are not wrapped up in stock market performance or the growth side. Some of you, your entire portfolio, your entire financial future is built on you getting a certain rate of return on investments. Another thing I like to tell people is, if the market's got to perform a certain way for you to be okay in retirement, we've got a problem. We've got to look at that plan and find out, can we decouple you from that dependence? So again, once the financial plan is built, once you know you're going to be okay, once we know what rate of return you need to be okay, and we've got your protection in place, we're going to look at your income and we're going to create this investment strategy that serves those income needs and then monitor it. So if you're feeling nervous right now, it's probably because your focus is way too much up here on the growth area, on the stocks and the mutual funds that are involved, sometimes too much in stocks for your particular reason. We've got to back up and get back to the basics. And if you don't have a financial plan, give us a call. Set up a 15-minute phone call. It's real easy. It's painless. There's no obligation. We'll explore things with you. We'll ask you some questions. If you want to get deep and actually have us build a financial plan for you, we can do that and get back to you. If you just want a second opinion, we can do that too. Or if you just have questions about what we've talked about, we can do that too. We are here to help in this difficult time. Again, there's no obligation. Most of you know we've been very blessed as a firm here at Johnson Brunetti. We don't need to push anybody or cajole anybody into doing business with us. But at a time like this, we want to let you know we're available. And what I was told by my grandpa a long time ago was, you do the right thing and business will take care of itself. And that's certainly been the situation for us here. So once again, I appreciate you spending this time. I know it's been valuable for many of you. Hopefully for every one of you it's been valuable. Let's make sure we've got that foundation built first before we focus on the investments, because if you've done that, if you've got that in place, that foundation, you won't be as worried and as sucked into all the hysteria when it comes to the stock market. Your financial life can be more secure than it is right now if you're feeling very nervous. So once again, I'm Joel Johnson with Johnson Brunetti. You've got some links down below you can click on. You can go to our website. You can get all kinds of great information. I've got 8 books that are available, many of them general books on financial planning. I've got a great book that I tell about a lot of family stories in, as Wendy and I have learned about finances. Then I've got books specific to an individual situation, pension decisions that you might face, situations you might be facing right now where you're being forced to retire, you're getting laid off a few years before retirement. So visit us on our website, click on the link below, set up a time to sit down with us in your place of residence or in your place of work, and we'll do a phone appointment with you and we'll give you some guidance during this time. Until next time, have a great day, stay safe, and I look forward to helping you.